Aaron. And it looks like there's a pronunciation guide, Aaron, calling from Georgetown.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
We can. What's up, man?
Oh, wonderful. Hey, thank you so much, guys, for taking my call. And I've listened to you guys now for this really, I feel like this show is the best show on the platform. Although I haven't seen V's new show, but I've really enjoyed listening to you guys. I am I'm an atheist, an agnostic atheist, but I have only admitted that to myself over the past 2.5 or 3 months.
Yay!
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it's been difficult going through this, going through COVID and being in isolation. And my wife and I've been very thankful that my wife and I have we've deconstructed faith over a number of years, and then we have left the faith together.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's amazing! You lucky bastard.
I know. Thank you. But there's been a lot of things that have helped me along the way. I grew up Church of Christ. I don't want to go like headlong into a full testimony, because I know that doesn't always make for great radio.
Yeah, we're short on time. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, I grew up Church of Christ, and I wanted to be a preacher when I was just 10 years old. And man, I really hook, line, and sinkered everything. I used to tell on people for saying curse words, and I never drank alcohol until I was out of college. I went to a Church of Christ college, which, in hindsight, this seems baffling to me that they can take all of that. I can get knee deep in student loans and it be that kind of education. I honestly, things that really helped me, there was a small group of community. You guys have helped immensely. Anthony Magnabosco has been immensely helpful in helping me understand what epistemology even is, and really exploring my faith, exploring what I was calling faith for so long. And Science Mike was another podcaster who taught me what sciences were. And the thing that I wanted to call and talk to you guys about was, and you actually touched on it with a gentleman that has called in several times. I believe he's Muslim, and Habib, was that his name?
Yes.
Yeah. So you actually kind of you went in that direction that I was kind of wanting to go. So something that I now accept our model of evolution. It was like a light bulb had clicked off in my head, because I had said what conservative Christians said for a long time, which is, if you put your head in the sand long enough and you don't really pay attention to logic and reason, then you can have a quick comeback and feel justified in saying anything. But I would say things like, "Oh, I've never seen a one species evolve into another," and "You can't convince me I came from an ape," or "I used to be a chimp." And now I'm seeing that for the past several years I've seen evolution as even species naming is something that is that you have to. It's almost like putting a pin on a moving target. If every generation is drifting a little bit further away from the last generation, then
absolutely agree, because there's no end point, right? It's not like we finished evolving. Like, we're continuing to evolve to adapt to our environment. So absolutely, I'm totally understood.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, the understanding of name what a Homo sapien is, like, how far back can you go and still pinpoint someone as a Homo sapien versus we could definitely say, well, today you and I and V, we're all all three of us and everyone listening to this is Homo sapien. However, unless we're talking in the future, and then maybe they don't identify as Homo sapien anymore. Anyway,
yeah, let's. While I love this, I do want to get to what you wanted to ask.
So my point in bringing that up is how I'm trying to understand, I no longer deposit God as God's the reason why I have morality. I loved what you talked about earlier, where you said that isn't God just layering in another layer of subjectivity in when you're trying to define a moral framework. At what point back do you think that our ancestors, likely mammalian ancestors, would have reasoned out that murder and rape were bad things.
I think it happened as soon as we became. I think it happened as soon as we became a social species. When we depend on each other, we look out for each other, and it's something that we see in tons of other social species. I think that while I am very, very shallow in my knowledge of this, I think that there is an incredible book by Hector Garcia called Alpha God that actually dives into that. Hector is a personal friend and an amazing author. If you haven't checked out Alpha God, I think that would go a huge way into helping.
I would love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Hector's great. There are some other things to keep in mind here, right? So we discovered, it was a very exciting discovery, and I, for the life of me, can't remember who discovered it. So apologies for whoever I'm forgetting right now. But they discovered a remnant of an early hominid person with what appeared to be a mended broken bone, right? And it was mind-blowing. And at first you're like, why does that matter? Like, this person had a bone that had broken and it fused back together. Isn't that what bones do? But the key here is it was different because every other animal, if you have a broken leg, you're left to die. That's all. That's it. You die. You're done. But it proved that this early species was able to care for the person with the broken leg enough to keep it alive while it healed, which indicated that from a very early on standpoint, we had that concept of caring for each other and building kind of a community. So there's archaeological evidence for exactly what you're asking that goes back quite a ways. But also I would say that a lot of it is utilitarian, right? A lot of it is, if I go over to that tribe and kill someone or rape someone, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble. I'm either going to bring wrath down on my entire group of people, or I'm going to be exiled from my group and be left to fend for myself, or I'll just be like taken out in the middle of the night by somebody who came into my camp and, killed me as vengeance. Like, there is a lot of survival instinct that goes into that. And I think that combined with mirror neurons and the concept of consciousness. So when you not only can feel what another person is feeling, but also rationalize why and find a connection between that other person, then not only is it beneficial in a survival sense, it also becomes something that we feel deeply, which is morality, right? Which is I feel connected to you. I'm in pain when you're in pain. Stuff actually fires in my brain when I see you suffering. And my consciousness allows me to rationalize that into, oh, suffering is bad. I don't want that to happen to me. I should stop it from happening to that person.
Absolutely. And I would love to just tie on there just a little bit as well. And that is that tribalism is a double-edged sword, because that tribalism also can explain racism, bigotry. Those mirror neurons fire less strongly the more the other person looks different from you. And it's an evolutionary thing that was beneficial when we were small tribes, but now actually works against us. So it's just kind of fun seeing that, it's not just all beneficial.
Right.
We've got some bad issues because of it too.
Interesting. I really appreciate that perspective. One thing that I wonder if I do, I'm kind of wrestling with this whole idea. Is there objective morality without a Godhead? Is all morality subjective? It sure does feel wrong. If I were to see chimpanzees raping each other, I would think that's wrong. But am I projecting my morality onto a species that has not evolved to understand that as, to not have that moral framework? And I also kind of think, like, if someday we're visited by, if someday we actually get to the point where we can meet other sentient species that we're able to have conversations with, what would they think that our moral framework is completely bankrupt and corrupted, and because they've evolved to have a different set? I love all things Star Trek, but I wonder, like, how much of a federation could we ever even have, right?
Exactly. No, that is the most sci-fi element of the entire sci-fi premise is that we could do that.
I would even challenge you and say that, specifically with your rape example, I don't think we as a society are past that.
Mm-hmm.
Not to the degree that we want to be.
I agree.
So that said, though, we got to move on. You seem like the kind of guy I would love to have a beer with. I'd love to hear from you again. It seems like you are literally right next door to Austin. That being the case, I
really want to get down there and meet people and become involved. And by the way, you've got killer call screeners. I love those people. I've had some problems getting patched through because of my connection, but every time they're so good.
Can we show our crew?
It's really great.
Is that something we can do?
Crew cam.
There they are. Look at you guys. That is an amazing cast. That is an amazing crew. We love you guys so much, and we absolutely agree. And the crew cat, of course.
Of course.
Thank you. And I agree. They are amazing.
And when COVID stuff does get lifted, we'll definitely. I would love to meet both you guys in person. We'll definitely grab a beer. I would love that.
First one's on me.
Excellent. I'll take it.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm.